Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. We talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm Ernst Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Indiana football has hired former James Madison head coach Curt Cignetti to be their next head football coach. After the firing of Tom Allen, I made a video on it 3 days ago. That was tough for a lot of Hoosier fans because they thought Tom Allen was a stand-up guy. I really like Tom Allen a lot. He was a guy that really cared about the program. He tried to help Indiana win, and for 2 years, in 2019 and 2020, they had success, but it all tanked after that. The last 3 years, Indiana football has gone 9-27. That is a terrible record. They've only won 3 Big Ten games in 3 seasons. That's not acceptable, even at a program like Indiana. So the Hoosiers, they showed that they are now starting to invest and care about this football program. They fired Tom Allen. He got a $15 million buyout, and now Indiana quickly went on the search to get a new head coach. You had Jason Candle as a candidate. Paul Crisp was a candidate. Even Jon Gruden out of nowhere was a wild card candidate, even though I don't know how serious that actually was. I thought Jason Candle, the Toledo coach, was going to be the next head coach of Indiana football. Some people were mixed on that hire because people would have said that Jason Candle, it just took him till now to really get Toledo to the heights that they're at, and he only has won 1 bowl game. But Indiana football did not go the Jason Candle route. They went with Curt Cignetti from James Madison, and Curt Cignetti is a winner wherever he has been. James Madison is winning football games, and they're winning a lot of them, but that's not the only place that he has coached. He was at IUP from 2011 to 2016, and he went 53-17 there. And then he coached Elon for 2 seasons and went 14-9. And Elon, before he became the head coach of the Phoenix, they were one of the worst programs in the FCS, but he turned them around and got them winning football games. And then he became the James Madison head football coach in 2019. And yes, they were in the FCS, so it's hard to judge based off that. But look at his record: 14-2, 7-1, 12-2. And then when they made the jump to the FBS, they didn't skip a beat. James Madison went 8-3 in year 1 and 11-1 this year, and he had a 52-9 record at James Madison, and his total record as a head coach is 119-35. I know all these are small schools, so it is, again, hard to judge based off what Curt Cignetti has done at these smaller schools, whether he's going to be able to make the jump up to the Big Ten and be able to win games at a program like Indiana, where it is historically tough to win at. But that's where Indiana's going to have to help him out. They've got to give him the proper NIL funds to be able to recruit players and be able to compete. Maybe not at the top of the Big Ten with the USCs, the Ohio States, the Michigans, but with at least programs like UCLA, Illinois, Wisconsin, programs like that. If Indiana can win 6, 7, maybe 8 games a year like Mark Stoops does at Kentucky and other programs like that, then Curt Cignetti will end up being the best hire that Indiana has ever made. And it's very well possible that Curt Cignetti can do that because of the fact, again, he's a winner, and it does look like Indiana is now going to be putting the resources into this program to win. They would not have fired Tom Allen with a $20 million buyout that they did reduce to $15 million a few years ago. Indiana football would have sat on that, let the buyout go down, and then they would have fired Tom Allen when the buyout got lower. They did not do that because they know times are changing quickly in college football. You have to be able to win football games, and you have to be able to compete with the other teams in your conference. The Big Ten is becoming a super conference. All of these teams in the league, Washington, UCLA, Oregon, USC, Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, all these teams are much better than you. And if you do not compete, you will fall behind, and eventually the day might come where Indiana gets knocked out of the Big Ten if they don't win games. I know that's a far-fetched idea, but you never know at this point. Anything's possible in college football. So the Hoosiers, even though they're not a football brand and they're the losingest Power 5, now Power 4 program in college football, they are now showing that they possibly want to invest in this team and win some games, which is a very good sign. And this is my response to Pete Thamel's tweet that Indiana was hiring Curt Cignetti. I said this is an outstanding hire for Indiana. The only caveats to the Cignetti hire is that he's 62 years old and he's never been a head coach of a Power 4 school. But Curt Cignetti is experienced and he's been a winner wherever he has coached. This could be the best hire ever at Indiana. I know the benchmark is low for that because Indiana has not had a lot of great head coaches. Tom Allen and Bill Mallory are the 2 winningest head coaches that Indiana's had in the last 60 years, and both of them had a losing record in all of their seasons as the Indiana head coach. And Bo McMillan back in the 1940s, he had a winning record, but that was back in the 1940s. That was was 80 years ago. So Curt Cignetti, the bar is low for him. All he has to do is be a 500 or better coach, and he will end up being the best head coach that Indiana has had in around 100 years. Like I said, him being 62 years old, that does sting because he won't be in Indiana for long, but that also might mean that if he does a good job in Indiana, he won't go anywhere else. You talk about how some of these up-and-coming head coaches, if you get a guy like Kane Womack to come to Indiana, what if he has success? He's in his 30s, and then he'll want an even better head coaching job. Curt Cignetti already being at 62 years old, this was probably a big milestone that he wanted to accomplish, becoming a Power 4 head coach. He's never been one before. Yes, he has been on NC State's coaching staff and Alabama's coaching staff, which I think him having that experience of being under Nick Saban is key as well before he became the IUP head coach, Elon coach, and James Madison coach. So he's been at the Power 4 level before as an assistant, but never as a head coach. He worked his way up through the ranks. Like I said, won wherever he's been, and now Indiana's hiring him, and I think this is key for Indiana because nobody would have expected Indiana to get this good of a hire. Indiana has made it official as well. There are no more rumors. It's no longer being reported. It's on Indiana's Twitter account. The Hoosiers have hired Curt Cignetti to be their next head coach, which is huge as well because we know what happened with the Mark Stoops news where that was reported as well, and it did not end up being the case. And in Cignetti's press conference, this is what he is already saying. I'm excited to lead this program forward and change the culture, mindset, and expectation level of Hoosier football. That's key because Indiana, they are, again, the losingest Power 4 program in college football history. The baseline is low. When Tom Allen went 8-5 and 6-2 in 2019 and 2020, a lot of people are like, this is the highest Indiana has been in forever. And then it all came crumbling down. If Curt Cignetti can lead Indiana to consistent bowl appearances and get to Indiana their first bowl win, because that's been another problem. Indiana's not won a bowl game in over 30 years. They've been to several bowl games under Tom Allen and Kevin Wilson, but they never have been able to win a bowl game. So Curt Cignetti, that's a big benchmark for the Hoosiers. Got to win a bowl game, got to consistently make bowl games and compete in this new Big Ten. And with the new Big Ten media rights deal, Indiana's getting a lot more money, and that's why they had the money to fire Tom Allen. That's why they got the money to be able to hire Curt Cignetti. Even though, like I said, him being older stings, but if he can lead the program for 8 to 10 years and do a really good job, I think that this hire will be the best Indiana's ever had. But we'll have to see if it works out. A lot of people are excited about it. This guy says good hire for Indiana. The one says big win for the Indiana Hoosiers. That's a good hire for Indiana. That's quite the splash. No one said, wow, Indiana actually trying to be decent on the football field. I know Indiana's a joke in college football. I know they've been bad for so long, but people are recognizing this is a hire that Indiana normally would not have made. Someone said massive loss for James Madison. Yes, that's tough. No one said the Big Ten has a lot of good hires lately. Jonathan Smith, Luke Fickell, Matt Rule, and now Curt Cignetti. A lot of great hires. The Big Ten's doing a great job. Insanely good hire. Well, 2023 is where Curt stopped winning, so definitely that guy's not high on the hire. He doesn't think Indiana will win with them. Another one said, I was against Indiana firing Tom Allen. This is probably the one hire that makes up for it. Good for the Hoosiers. So, see, it's mixed opinions. That's what the internet's for. Everybody has different opinions. But in my opinion, I think this is a fantastic hire for the Indiana Hoosiers. I don't think they could have done much better than this. Some people said they should have gone with Paul Chryst because Paul Chryst is an experienced head football coach in the Big Ten. But it seemed like he was not changing with the times with the NIL. It seemed like his style of offense was being outdated quickly, kind of like Iowa. So I'm glad Indiana didn't go that route. I was expecting Indiana to hire Jason Candle, but there's a shot that Curt Cignetti ends up being a better head coach in Indiana. And there's always a chance it doesn't work out. Again, it's tough to win in Indiana. That's why I'm saying it is up to the Hoosier administration to be able to give Curt Cignetti the money that he needs, the money that Tom Allen did not have for the vast majority of his tenure. I know Tom Allen had his shortcomings, but if he had been able to have more support, there's a good chance he'd still be the head coach right now. But Curt Cignetti, the other good thing about him that I have not mentioned is that he is a great offensive-minded head coach. Indiana did have success under Kevin Wilson, who is also a great offensive-minded head coach. You saw Mississippi State make the same kind of hire with Dan Mullen and Mike Leach were great offensive minds there, and then they just got Jeff Levy, the Oklahoma offensive coordinator. So some of these smaller schools, they realize that sometimes you have to be good on offense to be able to compete against some of these great teams. If Curt Cignetti can hire a good defensive coordinator, which there is a good chance that he will, then Indiana could be pretty solid on both sides of the ball, and maybe they can become a consistent 6-6 and 7-5 program, finally win a bowl game, and Indiana football will no longer be the laughingstock of the Big Ten and in college football. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about the Curt Cignetti hire. I think this is one of the best hires Indiana could have made, but let me know if you guys think it's a good hire, or whether you think that Indiana should have gone in another direction and hired someone else, or whether you believe, like that one person on Twitter, that Indiana should have kept Tom Allen. It's going to be really interesting, but Curt Cignetti would not have gone to Indiana if the Hoosiers were not serious about turning this football program around, and Indiana's finally back in the news, and for a good reason. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content, like this video down below, follow me on Twitter as well, link is in the description, and I will see you next time.